Okay, this time I should speak English a bit better. Can everyone hear me?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
I can set up my ears. Yeah, like this. Then can I hear you? Okay.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Good. So I came from Ukraine. Da-da-da! I came from Ukraine because of the war. And I realized that not a lot of people outside of Ukraine know the Ukrainian history. How it's possible, right? But it's a joke because I didn't know Belgian history before I came to Belgium. But why I want to tell a bit about the history exactly? Because it says a lot about where I am and all Ukrainians now and why. That's why history is important in our case, but I'm sure in a lot of cases. Short history. This is map of Ukraine. Pretend that there is a map of Ukraine. There is a Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, and my city, just next to the Russian border. Here we have Moldova, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, Poland, and Belarus, and Black Sea. And this is Crimea, the one that Russia now occupied. Maybe you heard, the half island. So how Ukrainians appears? On this territory in 7th century was Skifs, then Sarmats, then Goths, maybe you heard these words, I don't know a lot about them. And then finally finally, someday, a Slavic appears. Slavic is almost what Ukrainians are. Why almost? Because without Scandinavians / Vikings, they were Vikings those days. Kievan Rus, which maybe you heard this name, it's an old Ukrainian history. It was Kievan Rus, the name of the big territory, much bigger than Ukraine now, appears because of the Vikings. They came by the river, which exists still, to Kiev and made a small village huge and make it grow and make it strong and make it beautiful and start to dealing, selling, buying and all this stuff with bows. After that, one of the prince of Kievan Rus created or established, give me the word, a Moscow city, which is now the huge Moscow. And later, 100 years later, the Moscow city became a Moscow kingdom when Kievan Rus not so powerful anymore. It started to apart on a small kingdoms, and one of them, it was Moscow kingdom. So, and here is a really important thing. Now I will read it to you. It's about Kievan Rus and about the word Russia, which we have now, which we use now for our neighbor. Yes? How it appears that it's not Ukrainian Rus anymore. I will tell you how. The name Russia was used in the church documents, and church was important, really important, even more important than the government sometimes. In the church documentation, in the Muscovite kingdom, so not Russia yet, but the kind of Moscow and its area, to set its own country. So to give it a name, not just Muscovite kingdom, but something like country. This word was tracing from the Greek word Russia, which in medieval Byzantia, some years ago, they called Kievan Rus. So the Greeks call Russia Kievan Rus. Muscovite kingdom, what was part of Kievan Rus, but then started to separate it, took this name. It's how it appears that we kind of sitting on one chair with some naming and so on. Then there was Cossacks, maybe you heard about these guys with a horse and with this, and they were fight for money for everyone who will buy them. It was their job. They was brave, huge, aggressive, and they fight for Turkey, for Russia, for Sweden, for anyone who can pay good. They were independent. But then Russia fight with Cossacks, and they lost. And Russia took half of Ukraine to itself, and another half went to Austria. That's why in this part of the Ukraine we still have old beautiful houses like in old Europe, some traditions, a Christmas really strong tradition which we don't have here. And these guys, they made such a thing which calls Russification. it means that we all should speak their language, learn their history. It's why I am on this place actually now, because it's a really strong thing to lost my history and to switch it from with another one. Yeah, so it's not my background, but I don't know any other background. So, and after the Russia took this part of Ukraine, there was a slavery. So we were slaves for some years. And after that, really a shitty situation happened almost one by one. A revolution in Russian Empire, when the king was killed by Lenin and his guys, with the children, with everyone. There was an inspiration moment for Ukraine because they wanted to be separate again somehow. It was 2 years only, but no. USSR began to be, and they took the Ukraine to itself again. Then the most horrible thing happened with the Ukrainians, not only with Ukrainians, but I'm talking about Ukraine now. Stalin, he came to, so Stalin terror. During his 30 years of kingdomness, how to say, of power, the 6 million people were repressed. So from his own country. It's not Germans, it's not I don't know who. 6 million, everyone from Soviet Union. Who are these people? Intelligence? It's not correct, but intelligence, I think you understand. Creators, musicians, writers, anyone who was different from the gray mass. If there is a gray mass, you can easily control people. If there is at least someone who can think, he can teach how to think to another one. And it's dangerous. It's still really dangerous for some totalitarian countries. So Stalin terror, then it was a hunger after the 20s. Then it was in 30s, it was a hunger genocide, which was created by Stalin. Yeah, I don't know how many people died, but a lot. Okay, I don't remember. For 3 years, struggling with no food. Then Second World War, and Ukraine lost one piece from 5 pieces, our own population. So it's kind of huge. And we had the fighting. We had on our territory the most. The forces didn't go through Russia a lot. They've been next to Stalingrad, next to Moscow, next to St. Petersburg, but it's not so far. So usually the Poland, Ukraine, Litva, so these lands were occupied a lot. First, Germans came, killed, raped, damaged, then Russians. And 2 times like this. So it was a lot of destroying and so on and so on. So it was a tragic, traumatic, really situations for Ukrainians. In 1944, it was a deportation of the Crimea Tatars. So the people who is living in Crimea, who came back after that, if they survived. But what did Stalin? He just took 100,000, yeah, of people, put Tatars, put them in trains, and sent to Siberia. It took around 2 weeks of traveling by train. So only half of them, in the end, when they opened this, were alive, because they didn't stop, they didn't give them the food, they didn't have toilet, anything. That's why Tatars just hate these people, because, well, okay, in around 50s, again, hunger and repression in the same territory. So I'm looking at these dates and I'm like, how I'm here? Okay, and here actually, when Stalin died, everything little by little started to be better and better. It was a huge celebration amongst all Ukrainians all around the world, because during all these years, Ukrainians were trying to escape from this awful situation, and now we have a huge community, in USA, in Canada, everywhere around the world. So they celebrated and they wrote in the cafeteria free borscht. Borscht, it's the red soup. Free borscht because of the Stalin death. So everyone was happy. After that, Russification slowed down. The Ukrainian book again can be written and published. Before that, during all this situation, from this moment to 91, Ukrainian language was forbidden 147 times. It's the question why, for example, I speak Russian. So, then USA collapsed, and it was our chance to create Ukraine, and we did it. Okay, the first 20 years wasn't so good because bad politics still in Ukraine. So we need to find them. There was a first revolution, then there was a revolution which calls Maidan. Maybe you heard this, it was 10 years ago. We had a death there because our government, because our people was like that. And also Russia helped a lot. They sent the troops, they sent the guys with the troop. And our president, which we tried to rid of him, he had a strong connection with Russia and he was a criminal. So in the end, revolution was successful, and after that we had two quite good presidents. Okay, not perfect, but not as bad as we had before. So I think it was super successful. But during this revolution, when we were weak, Russia took Crimea. They just came in the Crimea, changed the passports, falsificate the elections, as usual. The instruments are the same. And began the war in Donbass, maybe you heard this word. Lugansk, Donetsk, I was born there. I was born in Lugansk. I lived 12 years in Donetsk, and then we moved to Kharkiv, not because of the war, before that. So we were lucky enough. Yes, and 24th of February this year, the Russia made a full scale, or how to say, escalation of this aggression and start behaving, I don't know, ridiculously awful. Why I'm telling about this, how many stories we had here? Because in my mind, when I came to Belgium, I had three questions. First, what is intelligent and where is it in Ukraine? Because in Belgium, I see this layer of people. I see what we call intelligence, or what I call it in Ukraine. I don't know about Belgium yet. I don't discover it too much. But in Ukraine, we almost don't have this layer of people, because almost all of them were killed. But we have a lot of books about that, a lot of songs about that, a lot of folks, stories and everything about that, how the greatest poets and philosophers was taken by the, we call it a black, what the bird, the black, ravel? This one, yeah. So the black cars was called like that. They usually came to the house in the middle of the night. And all neighbors was terrified because thought it's for me. It's for me because I'm a Jewish, for example, or because they still had a problem, even after the Second World War. Or it's for me because I'm a philosopher, or it's for me because I support Ukrainian language. So we need to develop this layer again. While a lot of people in Europe have this platform from where they can jump to another one, we don't. We need to build it from the beginning. Second one. Here, I heard the phrase, first time in my life, old money. Old money. Yeah. Inheritance, okay, I know it from the movies. Family houses, the same, from the movies. Because we don't have it, nothing of it. We don't have even these sayings and phrases. Okay, yes, we have inheritance, but it's like a car, maximum. But we don't have what to give to the generation, because everyone was took by the governments many times. And after USSR collapsed, we had around 10 years of poverty. So no money, no food, a lot of stealing, so dangerous situation. That's why we don't have all of that. And it appears really important to feel grounded, based, safe, and to create. If you don't have safety under your legs, you cannot do anything. So safety is the first layer. Only that you can start to do something. And psychological background of the Ukrainians. Because some people in Europe, I don't say about everyone, of course I'm exaggerated here to make it big, but more relaxed about a lot of things. And Ukrainians more stressed about a lot of things. It's what I also what I also saw, it's how families in Belgium communicate. A lot of times, usually it's easygoing way. If something, I don't know, if something happened like the vase broken by the kid, Ukrainian mama gets stressed or mad because or it was expensive, or it was a present for someone and she cannot buy another one, she doesn't have money simply, yeah? Or, so usually kids were beaten, now it's forbidden, were beaten or screamed or like, no, you cannot do this. And here, what I see, oh, okay, like this. What in the end, the connection between mother and the kid, father and the kid, the connection exists. So here it's more important is a relationship in the end than some material stuff. In Ukraine, for a lot of years, the material stuff was meaning to survive, and they don't care about relationship. Only now we have a big problem with this generation stuff because, for example, my mother told me, my daughter, your grandma, my mom, she was in orphanage when she was a kid. It was the Second World War, also awful story of her family. And she was so cold after that. She never hugged me, never kissed me. She only feed me. And look that I'm survive, I'm not fall down or something. So she was functional mama, like this monkey mama from the experiment, you know, not real mama, but just a robot mama. So my mama never hugged me. And she said, I'm so sorry, I don't know, I never been taught to hug. And I think, okay, maybe that's why I'm not so easygoing with people. I don't know how to make this small talk, you know, I force myself to, hi, make this small conversation. It's not only because I have this characteristic, but also because of the situation. I am traumatized because of this because I was born before Soviet apartheid, and this was a really, really bad situation. And Mama traumatized because of this. Okay, she wasn't there, but but here also they had a hunger in the family. Her mother works a lot in the fabric and so on. And her mother traumatized because of Second World War and all this also repressions and situation, because she was half Jewish and she was hiding it all her life and she was stressed and blah blah blah. And so on, and so on. And her mother, she wanted to kill herself because they didn't have food. And someone saved her. So we all people here have such a history. Can you imagine if you see Ukrainian? And even now, we don't have a peaceful life. So it's just interesting to analyze from where these people get the energy, from where these people get this freedom, inner freedom, you know, from where? So many tragic things, just in DNA, I don't know from where. So as a psychologist, I'm really interested in all these backgrounds, because I need to see what kind of person is sitting here. Okay, do you have any questions? You can ask anything. See, people before ask a lot, and I'm... So if you have...
When did you arrive?
When I arrived?
Yeah.
Yes, I have the answer.
Yeah.
I arrived 1st of March. It was no, I came from Ukraine 1st of March. I ran away from my city 1st of March. And came to Belgium. It took 12 days by car. Not me, my friend, she was driving. So 6 days through all Ukraine, because I'm living just next to the Russian border, and Russian troops were just next to my city, actually one left in my city. They never occupied it, and it's the best thing that could happen. Under the occupation, Russian occupation, I don't know under the other occupations, is the hell. Hell. The high probability that you will not survive. If it's not occupied, okay, just bombed. But it's not as scary as occupation. That's why my city were lucky enough and protected enough. And it took 6 days because it was huge traffic in the middle of Ukraine. Ukraine is so big, but all the people were driving here. Doesn't matter. So we just, in the car, stand in the middle of the road, field, forest, and traffic. Never before. It was. And then 6 days through the Europe, because we were tired and to rest. We can drive only 6 hours per day.
And you go to Poland or
to Hungary first.
Okay.
And through Hungary, it was Vienna, Germany, and Belgium. Like this. So. Anything else to add? Not so sad. Look, green, blue, pink, Kiev.
And this place that you have in Antwerp, did you start it, or it's with some people together that you started?
When I came to Antwerp, my host family picked me. I didn't know this person. We just texted him, but I wasn't here. I don't have anything there. My backpack was a computer and diplomas. That's all. And she picked me and she said, "Can I drop you for a second to our place like this? I just need to take something and then we're going home." And it was kind of a shop, but not yet. So it's just an empty place, it's toilet and something, open space. And when I came in, I fell in love immediately. It's such a nice place with this windows in the roof, yeah, with this amazing wall like in Norway. With the, and I'm, what is that? And she said, yeah, we have an idea to open a cafeteria and to open a plant shop for people with disabilities can work, people who has a problem to find a job after the jail, I don't know, any reason, after the rehab. So she said, but I don't know when it's happened, maybe 3 months later, 4 months later, before you can use it, for any reason. If you want, you can work online with your clients, if you want. And I'm like, oh, but I can organize the meeting point for Ukrainians who came in Antwerp. And I did. And in 2 months later, it became very popular. So people needed connection, they needed speak their own language, they needed to see that they are not alone, and it supports. And my idea was that this way I can help them to not get PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Because when you are in a connection, when you have a support, and stress disorder usually appears after 6 months after the tragic situation. Not immediately. So you have time to deal with something with it. And it was the first month after the war, and I thought, okay, it's just the perfect time to do that, and it became popular. We had a Dutch speaking club, a Dutch lessons, a Netherlands lessons, yoga classes, some art therapy, some musical classes, I don't know. It's all by Ukrainians or by people who lived already in Antwerp for a while and helped as a volunteer. So I start to write on a paper in English language, hey dear neighbors, we need towels, we need coffee, we need blankets, we need kids' toys. They bring, I don't know, all the houses maybe. So for some half a year, we also had, in the basement, we had this stuff, if people need something. Toiletry or, I don't know, just anything. If we need anything, I was putting it on the window and neighbors saw it. And then the company where I'm working now appears. It's called Mobiland, it's also in Antwerp. They came to me and said, Sasha, we want to hire you to make the same job part-time. We will pay, because we are looking such kind of person and such kind of project, and you already have you already. So I became from a volunteer to part-time worker, which allows me to went to a full study and Netherlands lessons from the September. Before then, I couldn't. I was just working in this project, or volunteering here. And now I'm kind of trying to settle down a bit, but my schedule is full because of integration. And I know how it's important because of all this also situation. And I know what integration is, because 8 years ago, I was in Finland for a project, who integrated Afghanistan refugee to Finnish culture. And now I'm a refugee, Ukrainian refugee in Belgian culture. And wow, but I have all the steps. I can do it for myself. And it helps a lot. So I'm so happy that I have this huge experience of traveling, knowing different cultures, knowing the... So I hope and I think that I became this start of intelligence. So when I have kids, for example, I already can give them a good base. Because I'm study. Like this.
What did your life look like before the 24th of February?
Actually, yeah, it was messy even before. So my life, yes, because I'm a specific person, but all Ukrainians that I met, of course, no.
But what did it look like? How was it? Like your daily life, what were you doing?
In Ukraine?
Yeah.
It was a time when I was changing from the job that I had in a company to my own practice in psychology. So it was a changing period when I still didn't have a lot of clients. I was worried. I just bought my tiny and old apartment, which I loved. I adore it. Everyone who came in, they said, oh, like in France. I said, yeah, because it's 3 meters. They said, yes, because of that also. But I love it. I just finished the renovation of some pieces of the apartment. And before the war, because I borrow money, and before the war, I give everything back 1 month before the war. So I don't have any debt. Yeah, I didn't have any savings, but it was so free. But now I don't live in this apartment. Like that. So it was, ground was questioning, do I have this ground? Can I do my own practice? Will I have enough money? 1 day before the war, I rented my own office, so I paid for this month, next month, and so on. So I also gave some savings. But it was a good step, and it helps me. It doesn't matter that I spent all the money, it doesn't matter. It gave me the belief in myself that everything is going to be okay. I'm a good specialist, I'm still studying, I will continue studying, and it doesn't matter in which country. So like this. Wow. You can go. If you have any questions, you can grab me somewhere where you need me while I'm here.
No, thanks for the explanation. I'm going to the bar to open it, because maybe some people are waiting already.
Of course,
but
yes,
thanks for the...
I am absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you also.
But I think always.
I have some
And
friends.
also by your personality. It's so cool. So she's like,
Thank you very much.
and keep your spec.
Oh, okay, I will. Thank you.
Can I look at your...
Yeah, sure. It was, if to tell shortly, not because of us, but because of Russian fire or USSR or so, the president was depressed, And finally we have our land. And we moved to Kharkiv 20 years ago. Kharkiv. It was not a location, but it's heavily walked now. So no electricity and so on. But we also lived in Kiev for years. I lived in Finland 1 year, in Latvia, in St. Petersburg in Russia, in Asia for half a year, something like that. So yeah, but I was born. And my father was from Ukraine, and my mother was from Kharkiv.
How come you travel to so many different places?
How?
Yeah. Oh. Why?
I noticed I just